Hey, Omni Dogs and Omni Kittens. Omni Dog here, talking about Superman Rebirth. Got my bottle of Frost Top root beer to accompany me on this journey. We're going to be talking about Rebirth and Superman. This is Rebirth the Deluxe Edition, but first we're going to talk about what you need to do to get into Superman. First book you need to read is the New 52. I wish I had the book, but unfortunately it got destroyed in the flood, but I did read it. You need to read Final Days of Superman, Road to Rebirth. Very important because it tells you what happened to Superman and what happens to Lois Lane and Lana Lang. And those are important things that happen in the Rebirth Superman books. So you need to read that. Another Road to Rebirth book you need to read, Superman, Lois and Clark, Road to Rebirth. Now we can take, you see Superman on the front with a black costume. See Lois Lane. Who's that? Guess what? They have a kid. Jonathan Kent. And he's in the book a lot, so you need to know about Jonathan Kent. You need to know about Lois Lane. This book's by Dan Jurgens. This book is the best book Dan Jurgens has ever written. I loved this book. This book gets a full 5 out of 5 root beers. So here's some more artwork from it. Beautiful art. And it tells a very interesting story about Lois and Clark and their kid, Jonathan, and his sort of nascent superpowers. But there's other things going on in it. There you see Bats. He's in it too. And I can show you all this without spoiling it. But you have to know what's going on ahead of time. This helps you get to know what's going on before you launch into Rebirth Superman. So see, he's in a black costume right there. Everything gets explained in this book. So that's a book you have to read. Then you need to read this, Rebirth the Deluxe Edition. Now it's very Batman. Oh, you know what? Let's see. Yeah, one thing these Rebirth books have is great artwork on the inside cover. Let's see if we can get a look. Let me do a little bit better job here. There we go. Great book on the inside cover. I'm sure there's a word for these hardbound pages, whatever it is. They're really pretty. But it's a very Batman and Flash-centric book because they were the ones most affected by Flashpoint. And you need to, of course, read Watchmen and Flashpoint and the Dr. Manhattan story of before Watchmen. You can Wikipedia all that, so you don't have to read it. But Flash and Batman were definitely affected the most by Flashpoint. So this tells you a lot of what's going on in Rebirth. So you need, and there's Wally West. He's part of the Flash's puzzle. And it involves pretty much everybody in the DC universe. So it's a really cool book. I loved it. It's got just fabulous art. Fabulous art and a great ending that is going to make you want to continue reading, because Rebirth is, as my friend Ryan says, fresh and new. Rebirth is fresh and new, because that's what I keep saying. So, Superman. Why didn't I start with Flash and Batman? Good question. The answer is, I don't know. I just moved to whatever was available first, and I think Action and Superman were available first, so I just read them first. As you can see, Doomsday's in this, along with some other superheroes, Super Lex. So it's very interesting. Action Comics. Let's look at the trade dress, or whatever the heck it's called. And here you see one of the interesting puzzles. Yeah, there's Superman saving Clark Kent on the cover. What's the deal? Well, there's an extra Clark Kent, and he has all of Clark Kent's memories. And that's why you want to read Action and Superman Reborn, because that gives you the backstory on the extra Clark Kent, how it is possible that there's a Clark Kent, there you have Super Lex, who, in Superman's short absence, decides he's the defender of Metropolis. But as you can also see, there's Doomsday. And when Dan Jurgens, who wrote this, is involved, Dan Jurgens and Doomsday means endless punch-outs. I hate endless punch-outs. But there's a lot more, fortunately, going on in this book than just endless punch-outs. Fabulous art. Of course, great characters. I've been reading comics a long time, so endless punch-outs to me are not my thing. Maybe they're your thing, so if so, that's cool. You'll enjoy this book. But there's a Superman Doomsday endless punch-out that goes on throughout the book. But there's a lot of other cool stuff happening in this book that makes it very interesting. I loved Action Comics, despite the endless punch-out, despite the fact that Wonder Woman comes in and helps, which is actually cool. And then there's more of that Clark Kent. What's the deal? Well, we're going to get to that. But yeah, Action Comics, 5 out of 5 root beers. Loved it. Next, if I could give this 6 out of 5 root beers, I would. This is the even better book, Superman by Tomasi. I really dig Peter Tomasi's his writing. And in this book, you get a little bit extra of the Super Son, Jonathan Kent. You see him in a little super outfit. What's the deal? Yeah, well, you'll find out. Jonathan Kent starts to grow into his powers. He helps Superman in some cases. And it's actually a fun story. I always thought I'd hate the son of Superman as much as I hate the son of Batman. Damian Wayne, grown. I know there's a lot of Damian Wayne lovers out there, so I don't want to bash him too much. He's so arrogant. But we see a lot of cool scenes in this book. The artwork through Rebirth is just really good. And the story by Tomasi is excellent. And this tells another part of Superman's story, concentrates on the Eradicator who shows up. And there's lots of fun, beautiful colors, interesting paneling going on here. It's a vibrant book. I really dug the coloring in this book too. So it's a lot of fun, and I would give this 6 out of 5 root beers. You definitely want to read this. It is a great book. And let's see if it comes upon my favorite scene. No, it doesn't. But when I think it may be in Batman, when Jonathan and Damian are given root beer, which is great. Maybe it's in Superman. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Oh, here it is right here. Root beer. Thank you, sir. When Alfred comes into the Batcave and offers the kids root beer, and Damian's his snot-nosed self and asks for tea. Only he just insists on it. Frickin' Damian. Okay. So, Superman, awesome. Totally recommend it. That brings us to Superman Reborn. Now, I can't show you too much of this because this gets into who Clark Kent is. As a matter of fact, I can only show you, and I insist that you do not look on the other side of this. Don't look on the other side of this inside really nice cover, or it'll spoil it for you. Don't do it. Just open the book gently, gently. Don't look at that. And I can only show you about half the book, but it's great art. Who wrote this thing? I think it's by a bunch of writers, really. Dan Jurgens, Peter Tomasi, Patrick Gleason, Paul Dini, all solid writers. And there's solid artwork throughout the whole thing. Rebirth just has such clean, beautiful artwork in all of it. But I can't show you too much of it because it'll spoil the surprise of who this Clark Kent is. So just take it from me, Superman Reborn is definitely worth getting. And let's see, I'll go one more page. And there you go with some of the artwork from Superman Reborn. Don't want to spoil it for you, but it is a really, really good read. So Superman Reborn, 4 out of 5 root beers. That brings me to the last super title, and it's the unfortunately now canceled Superwoman. Lana Lang and Lois Lane have superpowers. How'd they get those? That's why you gotta read Final Days of Superman. Now, this is a paperback, so I gotta sort of hold it. But it's written by Phil Jimenez with great artwork by, oh yeah, like I'm gonna try and pronounce that. Beautiful artwork by this beautiful artist. It's solid. Really great paneling there. Lex Luthor is again in this book. Steele's in this book. But you've also got superpowered Lana Lang and Lois Lane. How'd that happen? You'll find out. Definitely need to read Superwoman. This gets 5 out of 5 root beers. I mean, how can you not like Super Lois Lane and Super Lana Lang? It's got an awful lot of Lana Lang in it, and she's great. She's great, strong, powerful, independent young woman, which I dig. She's in love with John Henry Irons, also known as Steele. And there's not too much schmaltzy love stuff, but just enough to make it interesting. I mean, look at that coloring there. That is just beautiful right there. Soak it in, baby. So Superwoman tells the tale of at what cost these gals have their superpowers. There is a cost, and you'll read about it and what the cost is and how it affects their lives. And it is just a wonderful book. I'm sorry that it's gotten canceled, but I really enjoyed it. So there's my super review and overview of the super titles for Rebirth. I highly suggest you get all of them. They're all great. They're all worth reading. However you get your books. Library, 5-finger discount, IST, local comic shop, however you get them. I really suggest you read them because I loved them a lot and I think you would too. So please feel free to leave any comments or likes or subscriptions. Feel free to subscribe. Give me suggestions. I'm open to it all. Thanks a lot, guys. OmniDog signing out.